I'm not usually late to these unless there's a tech issue. There is a kind of tech issue, but there is something I really want to show you guys. And I didn't expect it to take me as long as it did for me to do. So, actually, let me probably turn on. Jeez, it's so sculpted right now. Let me turn on the music back. Because we've got. So I've been wanting to do story time, and I wanted to make sure that I had uh the story, and the story was longer than expected. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and record it. I could just quote do that easily. It took a lot longer to get everything together than I thought it was gonna, and so yeah, I'm here, and I'm so totally ready and totally not, off. Oh dear. Off my usual game, yeah? How about this one today? Let's go with that today. While I'm finishing the rest of this. Because I've been meaning, I thought maybe we could just pull it up, but it's taking longer to get it out. Let's get my desktop audio on. There's some desktop audio. Hearing nothing there for a minute. Oh boy. How's everybody? Alright. This is great. So if like nobody's here, then yay, I'll just keep it running while I'm trying to finish this. Yeah. Let's turn you up a little bit. Enjoy some beats. Beats! So... This is still Cyberpunk. We used, I think we used this one earlier. I like this one. That's so amazing. Alright, let's pop this up. This is my least prepared stream, all because I tried to do something different. That's fine. That's fine. Now listen to music. I'm glad nobody's in chat at the moment, because I'm going to take me a minute to get all this up. And I might share it next week. If we don't have people there. I do want to present this to you guys, though. I think it'd be great. Okay. Okay, all that is there. Good. So then the last one that I need to make sure is on. I'm so excited about showing you guys this, but it's like, it's not complete. So I'm like, But it's still cool, and I want to show it to you. So like, whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna show it to the people in here, and I'm gonna make a complete video out of it later. I didn't expect it to take me this darn long, man. All right, let's see if I can get. This is the most janky. Like the most janky video. It's okay, I was really, really excited. I should make sure that. Ooh. I still want the can do the music, but not the thing. How do I do that? I can, right? Yes, I can, right? If I do this, you still hear the music, yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Because that's what I'm gonna need. Okay. Alright, put that up. So that's good. Yay! Okay, I did it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't expect to be this late. I'm so sorry. I want to show you guys. I'm gonna bring it up with, let's pop this up. We're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. I hope that my critter will let me do it. Oh, I've done a lot of work on the doll, by the way. All I have left are really backgrounds. I was gonna do these two today before the stream, but the preparation that I was trying to do for this stream took longer than expected. And I was like, oh, well, that's not gonna work. But that's fine. I can get that done. Actually, yeah, I was gonna do backgrounds on the stream today. I might as well just go ahead and do this one on the stream because I got all the colors I need. Just need to actually fill it in. And then we have this one is the doop. I have both of those playing because I'd like to have both music and the other thing that I want to show you guys. I'm waiting till like there's more in chat before I present this. And if there's just not, then cool, I'll just work on art and then I'll present this next week because I really should have had more prep. I really should have thought it was gonna take me as long as it did. It took hours. It took more hours than I wanted it to. It took like, I think 2 hours because I had to do the recording of it. The recording, I had to pause it and then read it again, so that I would read it correctly, and then keep going. So it took about an hour to record, and then I wanted to get like a video of it, and I was having to cut, and you'll understand when I present it to you. Where are you? There you are. I don't know if it will let me show all of these. It's probably going to be a bit too much from Krita. What I'll do is I will grab... I think I'll do these. Yeah, I'm going to do this one, or that's going to happen. This and this, thank you. And let's see, I like this picture. I like all the pictures. I want to show all of it. But we won't. We will do... This one. I think. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that seems like good enough, and it won't overextend my. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my CPU usage isn't awful with these. Okay, actually, I might actually be able to put up 2 more then. Yeah. if it's not having a problem, then I'll just whoop, take these. And I'll take that, thank you. No, stop, piece of poop. I don't know why it does that. I know that there is something I must be pressing, because it does it a lot, but I don't know what it is. Oops. I didn't mean to open that again. Anyway. Okay, I already have that one open. So... 12... 8? Okay, so we got 8, 9... Oh, guess I did need that one. Blah, 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 blah. Fine. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Yay! Yay! I like that. I want to show you guys this story. This is one of my favorites. Hi, you guys are here! Oh, I'm so happy you guys are here! Because this is like gonna be one of my favorite streams ever if people were here in chat. Thank you, DT. Thank you, Leiden. I want to show you guys, so Storytime became a thing, and I did so much prep work to give you guys this story today. And it's not in like mint condition. Mint condition is not the word I was supposed to say. It's not in the best condition, but it is here. Because I had to record it before coming onto the stream because it's a longer story. And I didn't want to be like trying to stumble through the story because I'm very bad at reading aloud. I need a lot of practice. So like, well, let me go ahead and pre-record it. But then the pre-recording took longer than expected, so I'm late. And then, anyway, story time. I want to show you this story because this is my favorite. This is the very first book that I ever published ever. So, hi! Thank you for coming. Let's get to it. I'm so excited. I love this story. Give me grace on the presentation of it, because I'm trying. I'm gonna make a video out of it. I just didn't expect it to take me as many hours as it took me today just to do that. I just thought I didn't think it was gonna take that long. It did, though. But how are you guys doing? How y'all doing? Busy but lurking. That's cool. While you lurk, you can listen if you want. Is the music too loud? I'm gonna be shifting over just a minute anyway, so it should be fine. I'm gonna shift over to the file. Here it is. All right, here it is. Okay. Okay, there's this. Let me make sure the volume is good. Okay, there's that. So I tried to do like a whole video, and I will absolutely do that. Just been making some art. Rock on, do it. So as you're gonna be able to tell by this, I didn't finish the video because I put all the pictures on, but I haven't had a chance to put them all into place. So this is a rough video. This is literally I just made this to get the recording. So you have the audio here. Oh, it's 34-minute audio. Well, let's play it. But while it plays, I can be able to chat with you in the chat. That way I can actually talk with you guys while I'm talking at you guys and telling the story. So story time. And I'm just gonna boot and do this. It's fine. I'm gonna make this video, the video for Desmond Deathflores. I'm gonna actually make it and like cut it and make it nice. But here's what I have. Let me make sure this sound is good.
The choices of life and death are always before us, and from the moment we're born, our surroundings begin telling us who we are and what choices to make. This is the tale of a small flower that, without altering who he was, changed his definition, and whose choices regarding life and death changed the world. The Deathflores family was a proud flower family. They stood on average around 2 feet tall. A few, like Moda and Gora, were 3 feet. The poisonous family favored tradition, honor, and the peaceful cover of night. True to tradition, at the shine of the moon, they stretched open their 5 white petals, each rimmed in carmine red, while thick stems kept their heads aloft and grandly displayed the glossy sheen of their dark green leaves. Surely they were the established rulers of all flowers, even more alluring than the spring tree blossoms, and far more deadly. When Desmond first sprouted, he realized he might be a little different from the rest of his family. He was always curious and asked a lot of questions. His brother, Muerto, and his sister, Claudia, were the closest to him in the flower patch. They greeted him upon his arrival, themselves just barely a foot tall, but ever eager and willing to teach their baby brother all the ways of the world. Since Claudia's bud was bigger than Muerto's, she acted more entitled and spoke the most. She told Desmond tale after tale of the humans who sought them out. Many were noblemen or on errands for said nobility. Muerto interjected, to the annoyed scrunching of Claudia's yet unopened petals, that the best requests were the ones to kill said nobility. Why, just before Desmond sprouted, their tallest family member, Sister Raria, was chosen to dispatch a king. When she informed the petitioner that enough juice was in her to take out even 2 others, the man exclaimed with glee that he would surely kill the queen and prince as well. It was the talk of the flower patch for weeks, even after Desmond sprouted and his leaves spread wider, his bud more notable and red. His siblings' buds had paled into white, spreading out before the moon, but they would close and slumber for the sun. A few of the eldest blooms remained open to the morning rays, welcoming the bees and butterflies. Desmond also stayed alert and watched the colors of the sunrises in fascination, never seeing the same one twice. One day, while watching the sunrise, a certain bee came to hover nearby the curious sprout. Desmond decided to take this opportunity. "Hey," called Desmond. "Bee, Miss Bee." The passing bee came to hover over him. "The name is Tegami," said the bee, "but you may call me Papa or Mama if you want." "Why Papa?" asked Desmond, "or Mama?" "Because we bees are the reason little ones like you get to sprout at all. Human babies call such beings Mama and Papa. I should know. I hear them all the time." "Do you really?" wondered Desmond in fascination. "That is wonderful, actually. I wanted to ask you if you'd seen the humans. What are they like? Have you ever seen a king human?" When he'd asked his siblings about it, all they said was that kings were the most exceptionally important people born into the human race, meaning that the Deathflores family was the most important patch of any plants in all the world, for they killed said kings easily. To everyone else in his family, this was an acceptable and complete definition, but to Desmond, it required more information. The bee admitted that while she herself had never been to the place, she had seen the king's home, a giant structure of stone so tall it touched the clouds. In the beginning of spring, why, just last week actually, the royal family made a parading appearance through the streets to greet their subjects, and Tegami had seen them from afar when she'd ventured to greet the flowers of the children's park near the city and her cousins who dwelt there. But that doesn't make any sense," said Desmond. "Sister Raria killed the king and the queen and their son as well." He felt angry if the petitioner had lied to Sister Raria, and then she had given her life for a low and inconsequential purpose. But Tegami replied, "Oh no, the last king certainly died, so his brother became the new king." This perplexed the flower. "Then any human can be a king human?" he asked. Tegami shrugged her tiny, bubbly shoulders. "That appears to be the case. Well, apologies, my child, but our queen awaits our return, so I must be off." "You have a queen? Isn't that the wife of a king?" "Well, in human terms, yes. To humans, kings lord over queens, but to bees, our queen's wish is our every command, and gladly." "Can anyone become your queen?" "Certainly not," scoffed the bee. "The queen of bees is born and raised as such from birth. There could be no one like her." "And can we Deathflores kill your queen?" Here the bee laughed. "Certainly not. If we feared death from you lot, we would hardly come to pollinate you, would we? But I really must be off. It was an interesting conversation, my child." And off she went. Desmond's conversation with Tegami the bee sent his small, budding mind into a whirl of contemplations. His family had always called themselves the greatest and the pinnacle of plant society, for they killed kings in their large towers of stone that reached the clouds. But what value was it to kill an entity that was so easily replaced? And yet, one so irreplaceable as the queen of bees was untouchable. The next night, he spoke with Muerto about his ponderings, while their sister Claudia enjoyed some gossip among the fireflies. But Muerto frowned and shook his freshly bloomed petals. "I love you, my little brother, and your mind is filled with curiosity, but should that curiosity lead you to speak words of betrayal against our family, I will hate you. I and all our brothers and sisters with me." "What will happen if someone hates you?" asked Desmond. Muerto who truly loved his little brother, answered the sprout honestly. We will turn our backs on you, ignore you, and treat you as though you were dead until you actually do wither and die. It will be a slow death, not quick and graceful as the draught beneath our petals. Desmond nodded, and from then on he did not bring up the subject to his brother again. Though he understood the dangers far better now concerning his curiosity, Desmond continued to secretly peek up at the sunrises, and as his eldest siblings closed their petals, Desmond called out to Tegami. "Tegamama," as he'd come to call the bee. The bee secretly loved the name, and would buzz over to exchange a few words with her child before returning to her queen. She spoke a lot about humans, and how strangely they acted. Children played many games, most of which involved running about madly. It was a puzzle to her that such creatures would later grow up to walk very slowly, in long, draping garments, carrying hoods on sticks to block out the sun or the rain. Or they would wear heavy leather on their feet, restraining ties around their necks, and amble so as to properly balance oddly shaped apparel on their heads. Tegami also flew up as high as she could go, at the request of her child, to the tops of the trees. The wind nearly carried her off, and such a feat she'd surely never attempt again, but she returned with excitement in her tiny eyes to describe the vastness of the land. There were forests and parks, after that valleys and hills. There were even places where the land rose up to meet the sky, and she could only suppose what might be past that. His talks with Tegami were so delightful that he began waking later and later in the night. Muerto, because he loved his brother, helped keep attention off of him and would discreetly try to wake him when the other flowers weren't looking. But his suspicions about his little brother's mind led him to remain awake and spy. Doing so, he overheard some of the marvelous conversations of his brother and the bee. It was difficult, but for the sake of his brother, Muerto remained awake well after Desmond, in order to hail any human passers-by. On the third day after Muerto had secretly stayed awake, Desmond, who had recently started to bloom, waited, as usual, for his eldest siblings to fall asleep. He opened his petals, whatever slight reach they had, and called out for Tagamama. But time passed, and not only did he not see the bee in question, he realized that there were no bees at all. Butterflies here and there, but he had not seen a single bee all morning. Then a man came by on horseback, down the small dirt pathway that led humans near and past the Deathflores family. He wore a brown cap and carried a riding stick. Off the horse he jumped and, standing at a cocky angle, spoke into the flower bed. "Muerto, you are awake, yes?" To Desmond's great astonishment, the petals of the brotherly plant beside him shook and uncurled, spreading their crimson-trimmed white out into the morning rays. Muerto stood tall and addressed the man. "Here I am awake." "I did as we agreed. The bee's hive has been burned entirely. It is your turn now, I believe." "Absolutely," replied Muerto. "You did a fine job. I will grant you my draft, since I trust that you will be able to kill a king." "What?" asked Desmond, putting puzzles together, but hoping desperately that he had the wrong puzzle. "Why would the man kill the bees?" "I asked him to," Muerto replied calmly. "But we need the bees," as though rebuking his brother would revert his actions. "We have butterflies." "Why would you make such a request?" "I cannot trust my draft to a man who cannot even face bees," Muerto replied. "But," cried Desmond desperately, "but they are our papas and our mamas." Here, Muerto addressed his brother sharply. "Papas and mamas do not fill children's heads with dangerous ideas. I will show you the right way to live. The pride of the Deathflores family is that we kill even kings. Look, by extending myself through this man, I have even killed the bee queen you thought was so esteemed and irreplaceable. We, the Deathflores family, are the greatest and the pinnacle of all plant society." And he smiled warmly at his little brother and said, "You are my little brother, and I love you, so I've freed you. Live with pride as a Deathflores member, and remember to sing my tale to the new sprouts after you tell them about Sister Varia, for I, too, am off to kill a king." And just like that, smiling and proud, Muerto was plucked by the cocky horseman who had promised to use the flower to kill another king.
real quick. I am back to talk a little bit. So far, where are your thoughts on the story? And I just want to make sure volume is working. Just to check in. And I'll click play again. But as a writer, I'm also very curious to see where people's minds are. But I love Tegami. I love Tegami so much. So writing this book actually broke my heart. Not gonna lie. Um, but it also had so much. Um, there was so much depth in this story that, and there's a beautiful ending. So stick with me, promise. But yeah, just wanted to like check in. Y'all still good? Um, and yeah, I'm sorry that it's only in one ear. I thought I had it as stereo. It's mono. I told you there was going to be a bunch of audio things because I literally just recorded this right before hopping on, and that's why I was late. But yeah, so we've got Tegami the bee, you've got Muerto the brother, you've got Claudia the older sister, and you've got Desmond who is experiencing all of this life so far, and um, he has learned now that Muerto has made a contract with a human, uh, this cocky horseman guy, um, to kill the bees, and if this man can prove that he can kill bees, or whatever, then he has proven himself that he'll be able to kill a king. Uh, so oh wow, Cyborg Jed, how have you been? Oh my gosh, what's up? Didn't expect you here. Hi, cool to see you. I'm gonna go ahead and click play on the rest of this story, but this is where we're at, and we're gonna continue. Let's go.
Because he loved his brother, Desmond dutifully crafted a verse for him to come after the tale of Sister Varia, which would be sung to the new sprouts. Claudia, who had been told by Muerto the night before of his coming departure, proudly became the lead voice for his song, wistfully dreaming of her turn. But although Desmond crafted it, he alone never sang along. So this is death, thought Desmond, upon the third sunrise since his brother left, the fourth morning without his beloved Tegami. Death, which his family was so proud of, did not feel so wonderful or liberating as their songs claimed it. Negative emotions increased with each passing day. The marvelous colors of the sunrise became tasteless. Butterflies, noting his open petals, attempted to console him, but as soon as they came near, he snapped shut or shook them away until they no longer ventured by. Yet for all his disgust and bitterness toward the sunlit world, he could not sleep. He watched the rays of light sift through the leaves of surrounding trees until the sun rose so high that it passed them, releasing its heat over the flower patch. In sleeplessness, Desmond witnessed something else wonderful, the sunset, and learned its burst of colors as day gave way to night. The sight of the horizon, ablaze with red and orange, shot to his very veins, and, for the first time in his life, he wept. Humans have almost always been incapable of seeing the tears of flowers. The more sorrowful a flower's heart, the more delicate his cries. Desmond's tears were fragile enough to shatter into the air at a single glance, and his weeping soft enough to remain unnoticed by even the nearest plants. The stars came out, and the moon rose as his siblings opened their petals and sang their tales. The owls cooed on their nightly hunts and harmonized with their songs. Only his sister Claudia noticed, but she held a similar love as Muerto for their little brother and, out of respect, acted as though she did not see. Desmond would have thanked her. Like any Deathflores member, he had a lot of pride. When the sun rose, reminding him of his first morning with Tegami, his final batch of tears came and left, so that at last he was empty of tears and tired from crying. He let his petals and leaves droop purposelessly to his stem. It was around this time his mind drifting into nothingness, that a child's voice found him. I said hello. The voice came again. Hello? Did you die? Desmond, realizing himself to be the sole bloom with his petals open, lifted his wilting head and looked around. Ah, you seem to be alive, said the voice, and at last Desmond saw it. A little human child, dressed in airy clothing and wrapped in a small blanket, sitting with its back against a tree on the far side of the narrow dirt path. I heard you crying, so I followed it. I've been sitting here most of the night listening. I didn't know killer flowers could cry. Desmond lifted his limp and wilting stem to try and see the child better. You heard me, even when my own siblings did not hear me. Yes, replied the child. I have also cried the same way, so I know what it sounds like. Why have you come? Asked the flower, not pleased to have been watched as he cried. But the child's reply confused him. To make an agreement with you, said the child. Desmond scoffed. So I am your entertainment, the flower concluded. Why would you say that? Asked the child. A wilted flower like I have become. Everyone knows bears no potent juice. Perhaps I could make someone ill, but they'd survive. You've come to watch me cry, and now to make a joke of me. No, I want to take care of you, and when you've revived, you can repay me by fulfilling my request. That will be our contract. And so the little child dug up Desmond and carefully carried him down the long road. Instead of turning toward the city, the child turned further into the woods. When they came to a wooden cottage in a forgotten clearing, the child stopped at the door and set Desmond on the stair to cough and gasp for breath, hands on the entrance steps for support. It was now the 4th time the child had done this. You truly are very weak, the flower noted for the 3rd time. How do you expect to take care of an incredible Deathflores flower when your own self is in this condition? The child never replied to this, only picked up the flower and brought him the rest of the way inside, where he was placed in an empty bowl and quickly surrounded by dirt. True to their contract, the child faithfully attended the flower, providing water, sun, and especially moonlight. It only took a week before Desmond felt life in his veins and luster returned to his petals. Over the course of that week, Desmond met a woman named Amelia and a man named Caston, who called the child Ray. Whenever Amelia came by, which was generally an hour before sunup, she brought eggs, cheese, milk, bread, meat, and to Desmond's mixed emotions, fruits and vegetables. You humans eat a lot of plants? Desmond asked her one day. She was a heavyset woman with a soft and gentle laugh that filled the room with warmth and strengthened the green of Desmond's leaves. Humans need a balance of meat, milk, and vegetables if they want to grow up strong and healthy, he told him. So these plants are dying in order to make Ray strong and healthy. For a brief moment, she became distant, sad smile on her lips, before replying brightly, I suppose so. How nice they are, yes? Her words continued through his mind as he spoke with Caston the next day. Caston, said Desmond, every other day you come by and look at Ray's mouth, skin, ears, and eyes. Then you put that metal to the child's chest and connect it to your ears and say you're listening to a heart. Yes, said Caston, taking the very gadget out from his bag while he sat at the child's bedside. Then you ponder everything and take out weird liquids and strange little solid drops and tell the child to eat them. Are they also like the meat and milk and vegetables that Amelia prepares? Caston listened to Ray's heart, took a moment to ponder, and reached into his bag to rummage for the liquid and pills before replying. In a way. But what I give this child is far more potent, and only people trained, as I am, know how much to give and when. This perplexed the flower, who asked, if you gave too much, what would happen to the child? Ray would die, the man answered simply. Then he began to feel a bit more impassioned than he expected. You are poisoning Ray. It is you who is making my child worse. The accusation fell out of him so quickly it shocked even himself, but Caston smiled. Even his thick, dark brows, which always made him look somber, could not hide his amusement. I am surprised, he said happily. I never thought a killer flower could ever care about a human. But I'm glad to find love even here. Love? The flower repeated, not sure he understood. You care about this child, and want Ray to live strong and healthy, yes? Said Caston. But Desmond was too unsure of things to reply. The man continued. Wanting someone to live and to be happy, that is love. Because I also love Ray, I am here. Don't worry. I'm not poisoning your child. That night, after Caston left, Ray sat up in bed, forearms placed on the windowsill next to Desmond, who was catching the first rays of the moonlight in his petals. Why did you call me your child? This harshly interrupted Desmond's comfortable basking. It was a question he'd hoped not to have to answer. A long pause wafted through the air before at last Desmond turned away from the beautiful moon to look upon the child. I don't know, he replied. Do you love me? Asked the child. I don't know, replied the flower. The child sighed, relieved. Good. Don't then. I have contracted you to kill someone in exchange for making you healthy again. It's no good to love a killer, and it's no good for a killer to love. Desmond watched Ray give a self-approving nod before the child's head came to rest upon the sill, eyes closed. Desmond pondered asking many things, but decided to say instead, My brother got to dispatch a king. It was his honor. I don't want to dishonor my family. Tell me, what kind of human will receive my draft? Oh, don't worry. This human is royalty and has great importance. I like you, so I won't dishonor you by killing someone who's not royalty. And how do you expect to kill this person? You almost never leave your bed or this cottage. You are weak and cannot travel far, but kings and queens of the human race live in giant towers that reach the clouds. People who look weak are the ones who appear less threatening. If I should call a noble to my house, he will come without fear of a knife or thoughts of poison. Sometimes the weakest people are the strongest. Desmond mulled over this idea. Could something weak truly be strong? He asked himself as he watched the moon and listened to Ray's soft breathing. When the
All right. So pausing here because as you can already probably tell, the recording is starting to get a little bit jankier. It's just a little bit left of the story. Um, let's see, yeah, we're two-thirds through. I was not able to edit anything beyond this of my recording. So there's that. Anyway, before we get to the rest of the story, I'm curious where you guys' thoughts on this story is so far. Um, and and just to bring up to speed those who weren't here earlier. So this is the story of a poisonous flower. His name is Desmond. He has experienced his whole journey is to experience life, death, healing, and empathy through the eyes of the bee and the eyes of the child. Right now, he's already met the bee and formed a really good relationship with the bee and started to call Tegami Tegamama, and it was great and loved it. And then Muerto overheard the conversation. His older brother, Muerto, overheard the conversation and was like, "Nope, you're filling my little brother's mind with dangerous ideas like maybe life would be great without killing other people." So, um, he didn't like that, and he wanted to protect his brother because he warned his brother, if you have these ideas, our entire family is going to hate you. And he didn't want that for his brother. He wanted his brother to live happily. So he got rid of the bees. He made a contract with the cocky horseman, and the horseman went, burned all the bees, and then came back and said, okay, I filled my end of the bargain. I'm going to go ahead and take you now. I'm going to go use you to kill a king. So Muerto very proudly is like, I'm off to kill a king. So there he goes. Then Desmond is left to feel um, the weight of what it feels like to not to experience death for the first time, and so he becomes wilted and not well and doesn't know how to sleep. So he meets the child. The child calls out to him and says, "Hey, I have a contract for you." And Desmond's like, "I'm wilted. There's no way I'm going to be able to do anything at all. My juice is not potent." But the child says, "No, my contract is I'm going to take care of you. And once you're well and you've got your poison back, then I'm going to use you and I'll use you to kill somebody who's great because, I'm not going to dishonor you. Your family kills kings. I'm going to make sure that you are used to kill somebody great." But he's very vague about it. Um, so, uh, so this where we are now at the spot where Desmond has learned that fruits and vegetables have been used to help heal the child as much as they can and give the child strength, and that Caston has been using things to has been doing everything he can to help this child, Ray, um, and and so now Desmond is thinking that over his concern over this child, um, he talked with Caston, is like, yo, uh, what's going on? Like, are you the one killing my child? Something's happening. Something's hurting my child because you're using dangerous materials. And Caston's like, nah, but I'm glad that you love him because I'm glad to find love even from a killer flower. So now Desmond is thinking, all right, what do I love? Do I love this human, this child? So this is where we are in the story, and uh, and we are going to learn the ending. Boop.
Second week of Desmond's stay arrived. Ray stared at the flower with increased intensity, and each evening, when Desmond's petals opened, the child asked, "Are you ready?" To which Desmond would reply vaguely, even if my outside looks beautiful, it takes a while for my juice to return. Then he'd shift and wiggle as though testing the volume of draught beneath his petals. There doesn't seem to be a good enough amount yet. On the third day of the second week, Desmond knew he could no longer hide his verdure from the child's hungry gaze. Ray would surely ask again that night about Desmond's health and the now bulging abundance of poison he carried. There would be no way to cover for it. So it happened that when the man Caston stopped by that afternoon, Desmond called him for a favor. "Are you still awake, killer?" asked the man kindly, his nickname for Desmond. "Well, you see," replied Desmond, "I was hoping you might do me a favor before you leave. Ray is looking much worse than when we first met, so I thought it'd be best to ask you to do it. Would you walk me around the cottage close to the forest? This windowsill is nice, but I know I'd finally reach the peak of my health if I were to be out nearer the trees again. 10 minutes should be plenty." So the man complied and took Desmond out to be near the trees, walking slowly among the flowers in the setting sun. Desmond stared at the sunset in great admiration. "You stayed up to talk with me, did you not?" inquired the man, knowingly. Desmond nodded, then said, "I think that I do not want to kill, but I am afraid that if I do not kill someone, I'll have brought shame to the family that raised me." "That is a dilemma," acknowledged the man. "Just the other day, another king was murdered by the poison of your family. The elders and many devout are discussing burning the flower patch. Killer flowers are very rare, since kings in many lands keep ordering your destruction. You may end up as the last of your kind." "The last?" repeated Desmond in stunned breath. Such a thought had never crossed his mind. "You should think how you would best live your life so that it brings your family honor." But the way the man looked at the flower held more of a question than a declaration. "So, what troubles you that you no longer wish to kill?" "It is Ray," the flower replied. "I have thought a great deal about it, and I have come to believe that you are right. It appears that I do love Ray. Ever since the child spoke to me and I came under Ray's care, the child also came under mine. And now, as I have become Ray's flower, Ray has become my child. Each day, as Ray's health grows worse, I feel longing. The vegetables and fruits, who are my distant cousins, all gave their lives to help my child, who still withers. I know very little about humans, but it seems my child will die soon. And although my brother lived for death and prized it, my experience brought me only pain." And here, as flowers do when they cry, Desmond's words came increasingly soft, so that Caston had to stop walking and focus all his energy in order to hear them. "My child. If my child dies, it will be like my mama, the bee, Tegame, who was destroyed with her family and her beloved queen. It will be like my brother, who loved me until the very end. I will never hear their voices again, watch Tegamama's humming wings, listen to Muerto's stories and songs. Sunrises and sunsets will become tasteless. Butterflies will no longer be beautiful." And if there were any words after that, no matter how hard he tried, Caston could not make them out. So, After a moment, he very slowly and tenderly set the flower down upon the grass near the trees and sat down beside him. Although he could not hear the flower's cries or see his tears, his heart felt the flower's pain, and he said very softly, "Desmond." It was the first time the man had called the flower by name. Desmond listened. "I am an apothecary," said Caston. "I've seen many things in my travels and experiments. Knives can be used as weapons, but Amelia uses them to prepare healthy meals, and gardeners use them to help plants grow stronger. Fire destroys, yet when it burns in a forest, new life is able to sprout up even healthier than before, and when it burns in a fireplace, it keeps the people from dying from cold. It can also be placed on a candle to bring light into a room. More relative, what I work with are poisons of all kinds, and I am called on as a healer for human bodies." Desmond stared at the man in awe. He had never heard these things before, yet even as he thought about them, he found truth. The man continued, "I once got the chance to observe your family's poison at work. I think there may be a way to dilute it for medications to heal people. Normally, your family has been used to kill, but I pose to you another idea. Put your trust in the hands of a physician and medicine maker. Make an agreement with me, and I will promise to use your poison as a healing agent. I will study it and find out which people will best benefit from you, and you will be used to give life instead of take it away." The man continued, "I once got the chance to observe your family's poison at work. I think there may be a way to dilute it for medications to heal people. Normally, your family has been used to kill, but I pose to you another idea. Put your trust in the hands of a physician and medicine maker. Make an agreement with me, and I will promise to use your poison as a healing agent. I will study it and find out which people will best benefit from you, and you will be used to give life instead of take it away." Desmond's leaves and petals shimmered at the idea. "Can you really do this? I won't promise to get it right the first try, but you have my word. I will give my all to fulfill it." "I won't promise to get it right on the first try, but you have my word. I will give my all to fulfill it." Desmond thought about this, then said, "Then our contract is this. If you can keep my family alive, especially my sister Claudia, and save them so that I do not become the last of my family, then I will give myself to your hands." And so they agreed and proclaimed a contract. "What types of people will I be able to heal, do you think?" the excited flower asked as Caston walked him back to the cottage. "I don't know," the man admitted, "but they say that whatever we desire most in our hearts, no matter who we are or where we come from, that is what we are born to achieve." The flowers shimmered happily in the moonlight. "That would be wonderful." Caston returned the flower to his child's windowsill, then left, with 3 large bowls in hand, to speak with the flowers of the Deathflores flower patch. As expected, the child asked about Desmond's well-being, to which Desmond was able to reply easily. "I feel quite healthy. This should be the last moon I need. That time among the trees did me well." "I heard you crying again," the child remarked. "What made you so sad?" Desmond smiled. "I only released the last of the negative thoughts that had made me wither before. Sometimes crying can make you feel happy. Just like poison can bring healing, or fire can keep you safe, even weak things could be strong." Desmond thought that the world truly had a great many wonders. Caston returned in the morning, presenting the 3 bowls filled with dirt, each containing its own flower. One was a new sprout, only a couple inches tall, another just shy of a foot tall, with a notable bud, and the third was Claudia. Large petals spread out elegantly upon her 2-foot stalk. "These," he said as he brought the flowers toward the low wooden dining table, "were the only ones who agreed to my proposal. I brought large bowls, thinking I might fit more in them, but I suppose it is good that I at least got 3. "Humph," said Claudia. "And he wouldn't even have that. if this hadn't been a request from my beloved little brother. But honestly, what are you thinking? Who's ever heard of a Deathflores that wants to heal people? I came along to talk you out of this nonsense. Where is your family pride? Desmond smiled. He loved his sister. I thought about it, he said, and it seems more of our cousins give their lives every day to try and make the world healthier, but they are not great like our family. They cannot even heal a small child like this one here. Even the less common cousins of ours used in medicines cannot do it. This shows that they are lacking. But we, the Deathflores family, are great. We find it easy to kill even kings in their tall towers of stone that reach the clouds. It should be a simple thing, then, to give life to one small child. We are, after all, the greatest plants in all existence. Having fulfilled his end of the agreement, Caston came over to retrieve his prize, but the child quickly reached up and grabbed Desmond's bowl, holding it tightly. "No!" cried the child, tears falling into the dirt. "No, traitor! You made an agreement with me first!" But Desmond faced his child. "In truth, you went out on your own and made the decision for me. I never told you that I would kill the person you wished. At one point, I thought I might, but you were right. It is no good for a killer to love. Loving someone means you want them to live." The child sniffed. "You knew that you wanted to die," said Desmond. "Yes, we know the same tears." He had known since the moment Ray proclaimed their contract. "I don't want to be killed by this sickness," cried the child. "It doesn't know me. It doesn't know my family. You should kill me. You know me. Your kind knows my family. My father, my mother, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins. I should have shared their fate." But Desmond declined. "If you and I have anything in common, then let us share a common enemy. I will kill the sickness you hate and give life to the child I love. Let me mend the relationship between my family and yours. I want to protect you. I want to give you life." The child hesitated. But if it doesn't work?" "If it doesn't work, we are both defeated, but your original request would be fulfilled. Yet, if it does work, we are both victorious. You will have a strong and healthy life, and I will live for as long as you do. They say that what you desire most, no matter who you are, where you come from, that is what you are born to achieve. If so, then even a killer flower can be born to give life, and I can be born for you." So the child released the flower to the apothecary, and the flower gave up his precious draught, believing in hope. Be it by coincidence or by design, the apothecary's venture succeeded. The child was healed. The flowers, once known as killer flowers, became known throughout the land as crowning glories, since the child Desmond saved was the next in line to become king. The reign of good King Ray was a long-lasting rule, and his ideas shaped the course of many nations. He encouraged his people to look for and to find good and life in everything, and his kingdom prospered all the years of his reign. When the people realized the healing properties in the Deathflores flowers, the king's order for their guard and protection came well received. Caston was assigned their chief protector, and his family continues to guard them to this day. Desmond's draught helped cure many diseases, acting especially well against common illnesses that attack children from birth. Even now, the incredible story of Desmond Deathflores can be heard sung under the full moon by the flowers, at the sunrise by the bees, and at sunset by all the children made healthy because of his life. The end.
That is the end of the story. that is the end. That's the story of Desmond's Draft and the rise of Good King Ray. But it's told from the perspective of the flower himself, as opposed to the way it's usually told in the world of Riyadh, which is it's told about, you know, Good King Ray. Um, Good King Ray is a fairly legendary figure. Really did have a life and death unlike King Arthur, but he is a very legendary figure in Riyadh, very much like King Arthur. So he's known for having let me actually turn some music on because we don't have any music. I'm used to there being music here. But he's known for having had one of the most prosperous countries, and his legacy is something that many kings years later look to, and is talked about a lot. He's referred to a lot. There's a lot of um, let's listen to this one. How about that? Yeah, we'll be back here. Um, maybe if it wants to play. Play. Oh, maybe it doesn't want to play. Anyway, there are a lot of legends about Good King Ray, and so it was really cool for me to write this story from the perspective of the flower, because that's something I uniquely get to do. And I would love to write this story again later from like another listen to this. From another That's loud. Sorry, that was loud. Sorry. From the perspective of the humans. But this is the only world here. Earth is the only world that has this story of Desmond Deathflores from the flower's perspective. So I like that. Personally, I think it's cool. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you like actually liking the art. So that was my very first publication. And I can see every flaw that I have in it. Because I have many. I see the flaws, for there are many. But I'm proud of it. Like, I'm really proud of it. This is one of my favorite stories. It connects more stories than you know, because there's a lot that happens in the world of Riyadh, and if not for Desmond, if not for the Deathflores Flower Patch, or the Killer Flowers, or whatever, they're called Crowning Glories now. If not for them, you wouldn't have all of these other stories that later come up. So, that is really cool to me. But I wrote it from the flower's perspective because I think that a lot of people can get a lot from it. Like, if you get told like your family is this way and you have to be this way because you were born into this family, and it doesn't have to be something as bad as like being in a family of assassins. Like, you could be in a family, or I guess I should say as hardcore as being in a family of assassins. You can be just like in a fairly well-off family and still be like pigeonholed into, like, boxed into something you didn't want to do, or didn't want to be. So, like, the respect that Desmond has for his own family and the pride that he has in his family, it never really wavers. He never sits there and says, well, now I'm better than my family, just because he chose a different route. But he actually changed the definition of his family from killers to those who will, to those who bring life, and that's really cool. So, Echo! Oh, you missed story time! I'm not complaining it's like a 30-minute story, but go back and you can listen to the beginning of the stream early. But I presented my very first book, the very first one I ever published. I'm going to put it in order. Let's do it that way, yeah? And I can show you the pictures. And I did try to kind of succinct it in chat, but it is what it is. But yeah, this is the very first book that I ever published. It was the story of Desmond Deathflores. I'm finishing my 5th book that I'm going to be publishing, which is The Doll. But yeah, this is Desmond Deathflores. And he is a poisonous flower. Oops, oh yeah, there we go. Gotcha. And he met Tegami the bee. This didn't work out that well. There's so much that didn't translate well. So this was my very first publication. So there were many mistakes that I made in it, and I love it for all of the flaws that it has. But one of them is that I did this in by hand watercolor, and that didn't translate well when I tried to copy it and put it into a digital copy for publication. But I love the art, and I worked really darn hard on it. Then we have, I think the music might be still too loud. Let me turn that down a little bit more. Sorry. I don't know. I don't know if it's too soft or too loud. I can't know. Tell me about it, the volume if it's wrong. Anyway, I did some of it in colored pencil, because there were moments where there were darker moments like this, where Desmond is talking with his brother Muerto, and Muerto is telling him, you're asking dangerous questions, like things like, do we have to be killers? You can't ask that, because that's gonna get you kicked out of the family. We're gonna reject you. We're gonna hate you, and I don't want that for you, because you're my dearest brother. So I did that in pencil, and again, that didn't exactly translate well digitally, but it is what it is. Yeah, you start from flaws, and you go closer and closer to perfection every time. I agree with you, and I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of it. So then we had this one, which I don't know why I changed this. I meant to let me resize this canvas real quick. Put you at 750 and put like that. There you go. Because this was actually a taller picture, and I had to scrunch it up because it wasn't there we go, save. I had to scrunch it up because it didn't fit on the page. There was so many things that didn't happen with the pages because I didn't plan out where the pictures would go as I was writing the story. I wrote the whole story, and then I was like, oh, I'll do these pictures. And so then I did the pictures, and then I tried to put the pictures in with the words and was like, oh no, there's like 5 pages of words before the next picture. Oh my gosh. So there's so many flaws. Thank you. Yeah, it was just different emotions, different feelings. I think if I tried to do it again, I would do it a little bit less jarring, but I really like how it turned. I like it. I do. I genuinely like it. So then this was where Tegami, at the request of his child, or her child, the flower, Desmond. Oh my gosh. Desmond started calling Tegami Tegamama, because Tegami said, you know, us bees are like mamas and papas, so we're why you guys get to sprout it all. So he started calling her Tegamama, but Tegamama went up and explored a little bit of the land, and then came back and told the child all about, or told the flower all about it. And so it was so beautiful, and I really loved it, and it was great. And then this happened. So Muerto overheard the conversation between Desmond and Tegami, and so he commissioned a human to kill the bees, go out and burn the bees, because it was filling his brother's mind with bad ideas of life and good things, and those were bad to their culture. So then Desmond experienced what it was like to feel death. Like, his brother goes off and uses his own life to kill a king, and it's his pride. So he's taken by the cocky horseman, and and Desmond is without Tegamama. All the bees are gone, and it's an awful experience. And so he decides he doesn't like death the same way his family does. I see you, DT. What's up? So then the child meets the flower, I know we literally just listened to it, but it's really good to recap anyway. The child meets the flower. The child says, "Hey, I can recognize the tears you're shedding. Like nobody else can hear you cry, but I can hear you because I've cried the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a contract with you. I'm gonna heal you, and then once you're well, then I'm gonna use it. Then our contract is that you'll let me use your poison to kill somebody who's great." And Desmond doesn't really fight it, doesn't really care, so he just kind of goes along with it. Um, and then learns about how, you know, all these different like vegetables and fruits are giving up their lives to help this child get better, and learns about medicine and how medicines are being used to help this child get better. I was wondering what happened to you, DT. I'm so glad you're back. Um, and then later, Caston, the apothecary, is like, "Wow, I didn't know a killer flower could love." And he's like, "Love? Huh?" And so the child's like, "Hey, do you love me?" And Flower's like, "I don't know." And the child's like, Don't you ever love me. Like, don't do it. It's not good for a killer to love, and it's not good to love a killer." The end of story. So, well, Desmond goes and talks to Caston and is like, "Hey, so, um, I think you're right that I do love my child. I love Ray. I became Ray's flower. Ray became my child, and I, I can't do it. I can't kill who Ray wants me to kill. I want to do something else with my life." And so Caston says, "Hey, put your trust in the hands of an apothecary and medicine maker and see what I can do." And of course, the child is mad, and it's revealed. It should be obvious to people who are thinking, but not everybody thinks the same way, and some people are in different planes. So I made it obvious in writing. The child had wanted to die the whole time. The child was very, very sick and didn't want the sickness to take him. So he was like, "You kill me instead, because you know me. I don't want to be taken by something who doesn't know me, doesn't know my family. You know me. You know my family. I want to be killed by you." It's a warped way of thinking, but this child has just really been through a lot. And Desmond says, "No, I'm gonna see if what Caston said is real, and that we are born to fulfill what is the desire of our heart." And so Caston, he says goodbye to the child, and he gets used by Caston, and Caston uses him to heal the child. And so for as long as the child lives is as long as Desmond lives. And the child Ray actually became Good King Ray, the one who is known throughout the history of Riyadh, known for generations upon generations, centuries, and even millennia later. They refer to Good King Ray, and that child never would have become king had this whole story never happened. So this is it's a really cool piece for me. I really, really love it. This particular picture took me so long to do. This took so long to do, but that was my succinct Cliff Notes version. And you can buy my book if you're interested. It is in its flawed glory. It exists in all its flawed glory at www.c9prod.com. But I love this book. It is the reason why I write. This story is the reason why I write, is for people going through this kind of stuff. Kind of like deeper hardships that a lot of people don't expect kids to go through. I went through. And so I wrote this book kind of as a testament to that, and to like encourage people who are dealing with difficult concepts. And like adults obviously know that they go through life, death, healing, empathy, but kids go through it too. And I wanted to provide a way to process that. So it's a great book. It's seriously my favorite book. Seriously my favorite book that I've published. I would love it. Let me know if you get it, and if one day down the road in the future, one day I'll be able to do like book signings and stuff. I don't know. I'm probably gonna try to do a second version of this book that doesn't have as many of the flaws, but the flawed copy will remain. I want this. I love this flawed piece. I love it because it's flawed. I love it because it was my first one. I love it because it's my heart and my passion. I I love this piece, and I do hope that it touches other people because I know there was more than just me who grew up like me, who grew up without anybody helping them process their emotions and process the difficulties that were happening. But Good King Ray, you will see more about Good King Ray in the world of Riyadh. And DT, as you know, Sassy Grandpa Child, exists in the world of Riyadh. So you'll see Sassy Magic Farty Grandpa. Echo, I'm not explaining that. The only person who gets it is DT. I don't think anybody else in chat knows why I said any of that. That's fine. But you'll see kind of the effects of Good King Ray, and vicariously the effects of Desmond Deathflores and his family years later, down the road. This is great. It's a great story. I love this piece. I love it. And I was upset. I remember when I first published this because the watercolor didn't fully translate digitally. But I love it. I love it. I look back at it now and I'm not upset. I look at it now and I'm like, this was freaking good. I did really well for my very first ever publication. I did a pretty dang good job, you know? What went into it feels very creative, neat, even if it's flawed. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I do want to do a reboot copy. I will be once the doll is done. Because this is the one I'm on. I got all of the base colors done for the doll. Hello. Open. I got all the base colors done for the doll. Except for these last two here. But that's fine. I'm not worried about that because I'm gonna finish that today anyway. And then be working on dress backgrounds. And I did this work today. So this was like I did the background for this one today, which wasn't already there. Sassy Grandpa Child is here. This is Sassy Grandpa. I never in my life would I have ever thought somebody would call Michael Sassy Grandpa, because I know who he is and I know how awful he becomes, and I'm like, Sassy Grandpa Child. It's so funny from my perspective. Oh, it's so funny from my perspective. It's so funny. I've grown up. So I've known Michael since I was 14. I am 34. I've known Michael for 20 years. I've seen his story and his life, and like some of the, like he's an incredible person. He's the child of a star and a human, and he goes through a really difficult life, and he's really pompous and arrogant. And he does genuinely try to help, and he genuinely wants to be a hero, and he genuinely fails really, really badly and becomes a villain. And he becomes a villain to a very villainous degree. It's not just, yes, he farts fairy dust. It's now part of the lore. Ah! I can't! It's so funny! I watched this guy grow up, and now he is Sassy Grandpa Child. I can't. It's so funny. I'm never gonna get over it. I think it's great. I will legit put it as part of the lore. He will just be Sassy Grandpa. But yeah, he is one of my most incredible characters, and I have the entire first novel written, and that's what I'm trying to get representation for. Apparently he does. Parents, fairly odd parents. Yeah, he is. He's pretty close to being a fairy godparent, honestly. You're already sold. I love it. I love it. I can't. This is so funny. It's so funny because he's such a serious character for me, and he's now Sassy Grandpa, and I'm like, the internet will take and run with it. Sassy Grandpa who farts fairy dust. Oh my gosh. Farts fairy dust was all you needed. It will now just have to be in the lore. You know what's great though is that if he ever planeswalks over here and gets to see how his lore progresses in Earth, I don't know what his reaction will be. The fact that I've actually written my own fanfics of my own characters is a level of nerdism that is just me. But I have legitimately written fanfics about just being able to hang out with Michael. I love Michael. I think he's great. And I love that later I'm gonna be quoted saying how much I love Michael, and you're gonna see the stuff he did, and the stuff he did is awful. If you want to see, actually, I have a thing I can show it to you. Oh my gosh, it's already 5 hot. Dang. I actually need to be leaving, so I didn't expect that. I don't care though, because I don't need to leave yet. I've got 10 minutes, but I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna link this to you. This is in my blog. So I told you c9prod.com. You can find all my stuff. But the Somnibus blog, Somnibus Chronicles or whatever the junk I called it. I don't remember. Here, Sivs and Michael first encounter. It has a blood warning because Sivs is a pure bloodlust character. I repeat, blood warning. Sivs is a pure bloodlust character. I have told you, okay? But this is a really cool piece. It's just a snippet of the first encounter between Sivs, who is, quote, a Michael's child. I will not explain that to you. You can figure that out when the book comes out. But Sivs wants to go and meet his parent, Michael. And Michael has his own reasons for why he is calling kids to himself. Michael is awful in this, but the both of them are both of them, I think honestly the more innocent one in this is Sivs, but they are, if this is a really interesting fight, and I just wanted to show that encounter scene, but you kind of get to see Michael in his villainous state. But he also does some incredibly good things too. Like he never, like, nobody, I don't know if anybody really sets out to be a villain. Maybe somebody does. There's outliers to everything, but I will blanket statement say nobody sets out to be a villain. He didn't. He set out to be a hero. He set out to save his mom. He set out to be a savior, honestly. But he also wanted to find his place. Like, he wasn't very well accepted growing up, or, well, growing up as much as an internal child can grow. And so he sets out on his own journey, and he makes his first real friend, and the doll is really about that. He made his first real friend, and they went on adventures together, and then his friend grew up. Sassy Grandpa Ciao, villain. But his friend grew up, and then had his own kid, and this girl here is the child of Michael's best friend. So when Michael sees her being mistreated in the king's courts, Michael's like, gloves are off, and bye. So he goes and exacts his punishment on the king. So yeah, don't mess with his family. I will say it's complicated for Michael. Spelling for his name, by the way, just so you know, since you are into the lore, is Michael, true name Michaelu. And that's really important. He took Elu out of his name. And that is a very, I'm not going to go into any more of that. You will find that out in the book as to why. But he took that out of his name, so he just became Mikal or Michael. And he, his name meaning changed from beautiful radiant light to being literally just the definition of wanton. With like a what do you call it? A definition, a connotation of being wanton destruction. So Michael is in a situationship. Michael is a situationship himself. He lives for a very long time, so he's had multiple situationships. But his one that he had for the longest. Should I get into that right now? I don't know. It's a pretty big reveal. I won't get into that one right now. But I will say that she is very close to me. How about that? There you go. That is the lore drop that you will get from Chronicler today, is that his longest lasting partner is extremely close to me. But anyway, I think we are about at time. I didn't expect to... I don't know. I don't know what I expected. I did something different today. I wanted to do the recording of the story. The recording was very rough because I really thought I was going to get it done in a smaller amount of time. I didn't. That's great. So I learned that. So now I will know to do that the day beforehand, or whatever, and get that done before I come to the stream. But it was a really fun idea that I woke up with in my brain, and I was like, oh, okay. And then whatever, the execution, child's flaws and stuff. And then you go closer to perfection. You start with your flaws. Hey, Echo, my champ. Let's go. Anyway, love y'all. I'll just talk about how stylish his hair is. Okay, yes it is though. I'm just saying, he kind of looks like a little Vegeta. Can't help that. I think it's funny. He's kind of got like Vegeta hair. Anyway, but it's wavy. It waves like it's almost like it's underwater. It's really interesting hair. Yeah, I do have to go. Tomorrow, Hollow Knight. Come on down to the Hollow Knight. We're gonna be beating Grim. Woo! My baby. Boom, boom, boom. I love Grim. He is so pretty. He has no business being that pretty. And he leaves no crumbs, Echo. Alright. But I gotta go to class. So I love y'all. Thank you guys for coming by. And again, remember, 500 subs and 3K watch time to get monetized. Remember that. So anything you want to do that helps me get there, we're awesome. Love it. And I'll catch you guys later. Stay gorgeous, Peeps.